My name is TJ White. I'm the management analyst for a nonprofit called the Center for Local Government. And what our organization does is we help local governments collaborate, either through sharing services like garbage collection, through training opportunities, or through information sharing. In terms of what my overall career would be, it would be public administration, which is the administration of local governments and nonprofit organizations.
Okay. So in very simple terms, kind of tell us what the crux of your job is. I mean, what is your aim each and every day?
My aim each and every day, I think, would be to help governments work together. And there are many tools I have at my disposal in order to do this, ranging from being an analyst, where I will say take a look at some sort of interesting initiative that might be happening in another area of the state or the country, and then finding a way to see if it will work here and see if it will enhance efficiency or savings here. All the way through doing things like special projects, I put on a conference for a government recently, for example, or I might end up doing some research for a city manager on things like pay data, in case they're looking at, creating a new position, or if they're looking at things like making sure their salary levels are appropriate. And so really, what I do in my specific position right now is I'm a jack of all trades for local governments in this region, in terms of things they might need from my organization and for me.
Okay. What education and career path led you to where you're at?
Okay. I have a degree in political science, undergrad from Miami University, and I have a master's degree in public administration from Northern Kentucky University. And actually, I would say that what got me into this career path was not necessarily my academic study in undergrad, it's more along the lines of my involvement. In being involved in student government, I got to meet a lot of people that work for the city of Oxford, where Miami University is located, or people that worked for the university. And that operations aspect was very appealing to me. Coming out of college with a political science degree, there are not really a lot of direct options you can have.
Right.
You can go to law school. A lot of people do that. You could go and get a master's or a PhD in political science. One of my good friends from undergrad who was a political science major is a professor now. Or you could try to jump into the corporate world and compete with a lot of people who have business degrees for jobs in the business world who are just coming out of college. And for me, I didn't want to go into politics. I didn't want to go to law school. And I didn't really feel like being an academic. And so I spent a lot of my later years of college trying to figure out, all right, what's a good job that someone with a political science degree could have? And, working in a local government is something that was really appealing to me. So then after college, I decided to get a master's degree in public administration. I did that part-time while I was working for the city of Cincinnati. And then after I finished my master's degree, I got the job I have now.
Great. Run me through just briefly what a typical day would be like for you. Understand that, of course, there's probably some variation, but on average, from getting into the office to leaving, I mean, what does your day entail?
Okay. A lot of reading. And I would say a lot of reading, and to an extent, a certain level of negotiating would be the two big themes of my day. I'll give you a typical day. I'll get into the office. First thing I'll do, either in the office or at home on my iPad or whatever, is I'll read the news, see if there's any stories about any of the governments that are our members that might affect shared services or affect their budgets, things that we need to be aware of. And then after that, usually I am in the process of developing a few initiatives or managing some existing ones or doing some internal work in my organization. Now, we only have 4 people, so at the Center for Local Government, not only do we work on, project development, but we also have to literally keep the organization running. Things like right now we're working on a new website. So I would say my typical day I will start by reading. Then after I'm reading, I probably respond to emails. Those emails generally would be related to one of our programs, either one that's existing or one that's developing. And then I spend a lot of my day researching. So we might have a situation where we have governments that want to do collaboration between cities and school districts. And so I will benchmark that, see if there are similar collaborations around the state of the country, see what we can learn from them, what can we improve in them. At the same time, as various communications come in, we might have another collaborative about trash collection where we have two governments that have different service requirements. So I have to talk to them and see if we can find a way to find a similar requirement that we can aggregate while keeping their individual requirements separate. So that's where that negotiation part comes in. If I'm going to look at the big picture, and I came back and did another video for you 10 years from now, and one of your questions was, what's the biggest thing you learned at your current job? It would probably be the ability to communicate with parties that have divergent viewpoints, all of which are legitimate divergent viewpoints, and find common ground that we can move forward on a project with. And a lot of times we can do that. Sometimes it just is not in the cards though. And so that's the other lesson, is learn when an idea is worth doing and learn when an idea is not necessarily worth doing.
Right.
And so then I eat lunch. And then after lunch I do more of the same, and then I go home.
Great.
Yeah.
What would you say, if there's one thing about your role that you could not live without, you absolutely love it, what would it be?
What do you mean in terms of like something that is like just great about my job?
Yeah, you just think's awesome. You love doing it.
Okay. Well, I get to be creative. And in my field, a lot of the times there are very short-staffed organizations. And so, a lot of the people I talk to might be assistant city managers. And they might have great ideas, but cities, and especially like small local governments, are very small organizations, and so you're literally running the operation every day. What I get to do in my job is be at a level parallel to that. And so I can take a look at the bigger picture and look at ideas and look at innovation and things like that. And that's not something that a lot of people that I know professionally have a chance to do just because of their workload. Now, at the same time, it's not to say that they don't, because there are some great city managers and assistant city managers and department heads out there that are very innovative and creative. But that's the main thing I do at work. That's my job, is to sit around and look for opportunities to create new projects. And so that's something that I think is a great part of the job.
The flip side of that, what is one thing that you could just do without? We all have responsibilities in our jobs. Some of them we like more than others. So if there was one thing at the bottom of the list that you could be like, I could do without it, what would that be?
I would probably say that there's a sales aspect to what I do, and for good reason. If I'm a city manager and this guy from this group we're a member of comes to me and says, hey, I think I have a way for us to all collect our garbage together on one contract and save a lot of money. Well, okay, prove it. Not only can you prove it, how much is it going to cost? And how much is it going to cost if it doesn't work? And what's the accountability structure? So, these are questions that I'm going to be getting because that city manager has to watch out for his or her own jurisdiction. The job of a city manager, one of their jobs is to, essentially make sure that they're being a wise spender of tax money. And so if I come to you and say, there's this program that I have, and there's this great potential that we could save a lot of money, but we might not. And not only might we not, but it's going to cost a little money to start it up. That's a lot of convincing I have to do. Because, that's not necessarily, at times, I can understand the other side of the viewpoint that might not be the strongest case for something. And so, while I think that has helped make me a better professional, because that's a skill that I think is necessary in the work environment, in government, in sales, in business, in medicine, in anything, I think that at the same time, it's something that is not an enjoyable task. Not to say that I'm not glad that I have to do it, because as I said earlier, I think that's a skill that anyone, especially people in our generation, need, is the ability to sell something. To kind of diverge a little bit, I'm a member of a professional organization called ICMA, the International City and County Managers Association. By the way, if you're looking to get into local government, join ICMA. Anyway, though, I was at a conference for young professionals in the field, and we were talking about generational differences. And right now, we're at a very unique time in our workforce because there are 4 generations that are simultaneously working in a professional workforce. You have millennials, which are people born after 1982. You have Gen Xers, which are a lot of times your millennials' older siblings. Then you have the baby boomers, and then you have a lot of the traditionalists, people that are our grandparents' age. They're still in the workforce or that are starting encore careers. And one thing that I heard a lot in that presentation from some of the older young professionals and some of the younger city managers is that the ability of people in our generation to sell something is a skill that we need to develop. Because it's not only one thing for me to go into my boss's office and say, hey, I have this great idea. What my boss is going to say to me is, okay, do it. Uh-oh. Okay, now I have to convince all these other department heads it's also a great idea. And I have to defend my points. And if they say, okay, do it, well, suddenly I find myself in charge of a project. And so that's more selling this idea.
Right.
And so, one thing I would try to say is find an opportunity within, say, student organizations you're in or within internships you have to work on those skills because it will benefit you greatly in the workforce.
Great. Top 3 skills you need to be successful in your job.
Analytical skills. I do a lot of number crunching. And not only do I do a lot of number crunching, I do a lot of number crunching within context. In public administration, city management field, there are 3 big values. There is accountability, there is fairness, and there is efficiency. And so if I come to you with this program that will save your government a bunch of money, but it will disenfranchise half of your citizens, yeah, that's efficient, but it's not very fair. If I come to you with a project that has an amazing amount of citizen involvement, but has no oversight by the city council, well, there's not a lot of accountability there. And so one of the skills that you need to develop is the ability to not only rationally analyze something, but analyze it within the context of the values of your organization.
Okay.
I said earlier I have a master's in public administration. If you're going to go into local government management, that's one of those skills that they try to teach you in there, is how to analyze within context. I'd say the second skill is that sales skill that we just talked about. And then I would say a third skill is probably the ability to listen. Everything happens for a reason. We hear that as a cheesy phrase, but there's a lot of truth to it. If you look through your company's budget and you see this weird line item in there for, balloon animals or something like that, someone got it into the budget and convinced someone else it was a good idea. So there's a reason that's in there. And so the ability to understand that, I think, is an important skill. The ability to get it, and I think that's that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with that negotiation skill.
Right.
There's a reason that this city has trash collectors take trash directly from your garage, whereas that other city has you take it down the street. And there's a reason why City A has this great recycling program and City B doesn't believe in it. Understanding those contexts and those reasons and having an open mind by listening, and then trying to put yourself in that other person's shoes really helps in my field in terms of what I do in terms of convincing people of new ideas that might be coming through the hopper.
Final question. If someone wants your job, what are 2 action steps that they could take in the short term to start heading down that path?
I'm going to answer that question not for my job specifically per se, as much as for my field.
Okay.
As I was stated earlier, I work for an organization called the Center for Local Government. It's a nonprofit that works with local governments. We are formed by local governments, and so we're a partner to them. We're not like a private sector vendor. But at the same time, my career goal is to be in local government management. I eventually, 10 years from now, if we do this video again, I want to be the city manager of some city. And so I'm going to answer that question from that perspective, is what to do if you want a career in local government management. I would say the first thing you need to do is go get a master's degree in public administration. Public administration is like an MBA for government people. You learn management skills, you learn leadership skills, you learn that analysis within context skill, and you develop some very specific technical skills that come into play. I spent a lot of my master's learning how to budget and how to project the revenue. And those are skills that will help me in this job and my next one. I would say another step would be to join the professional organizations related to local government management, 3 in particular. The International City County Managers Association, ICMA. ICMA is an international organization. Most of your city managers who meet are in ICMA. It's a very highly ethical organization. In an MPA program, you learn ethics. In an ICMA, as a member of that organization, you really practice them. In addition to that, ICMA tends to have membership of a lot of older managers. There is a lot of value in listening to people who are about to retire. They've been in these battles for 40 years. And so there's a lot of opportunity to learn the things that I'm trying to demonstrate here as a younger professional who's been in the field for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Well, talk to someone who's done it for 40, who's retired. And ICMA provides you with a lot of that resource. Not only people that are that, but people that are our age, that are city managers already. I'm 30, so 30. So, yeah, probably people listening to this are like not 30, but you get the idea. And the other 2 organizations, one is called the American Society for Public Administration, ASPA, similar to ICMA. And then finally, for those of you in Ohio, OCMA, which is the Ohio City County Managers Association. If you don't live in Ohio, your state has a similar organization. Find it and join it. And there are a lot of great professional development resources to that. There are a lot of great job opportunity postings to that. And there are a lot of great opportunities to listen to people who have experience and can really show you a realistic lay of the land within those organizations. So those would be 2 specific action steps that I think would be beneficial to take. Oh, and third, through ICMA and through a lot of these professional organizations, there are a lot of internship opportunities. And I know for a fact, because I've been an intern, and not an ICMA intern, but I worked for an organization that I interned for in college from here. And a lot of those people that become fellowship interns through ICMA end up getting hired by those governments. And if they're not hired by those governments, you still get a chance to demonstrate your value to a city manager, and that's just going to help you later on. So join professional organizations, get a master's degree in public administration, and if you find an internship opportunity, take it. Would be my 3 main steps.
Great. Thanks, TJ. That was my last question. I appreciate it.
Problem.